we don't have normal citizens using it.
What are the big differences between us?
No, the big difference is not the acts. Okay, one of course, one is there in the US Act, it is 20 days is recommendatory. Having said that, by and large, it is reasonably followed in US. Okay, of course, there are freedom of information requests that are pending for 15 years. So there is no time limit. In India, we have these time limits, these penalty clauses, etc., which don't exist in the United States and most countries. But they work here because of the overall nature of governance. In India, it would not have worked if we had left it like that. If we had an act of that nature, it would not have worked at all. But more importantly, apart from the differences of the act, it is the needs of the people that are completely different. In the US, as I told people earlier, you can pick up a phone, usually you would pick up a phone and talk to a government officer and you'd get an answer. In India, you won't get it. So here is something that people feel, oh, I can use right to information and I'll get an answer. And I've heard this even with commissions. A very poor person will come, he'll be with the block development officer or some officer of the government and they argue there, before the commission. And then this chap with torn clothes will tell the commissioner, Yala Shasti Kara, please penalize this man. He has not given me information. He feels that power flowing through him, which is an experience that citizens didn't have earlier. You didn't go and say, I can patch a government officer and say, it has my right. This, I think, is, to my mind, is the far bigger game than all of the other things. The empowerment of individual citizens. And the fact that, therefore, the other benefits incidentally are, I've had some very good government officers telling me that now, see, they would get all kinds of illegal things to be done and they would do it. Now, some of them stand up and say, sir, somebody will ask them the right to information. So, it doesn't become perfect, but there is some kind of restraint being exercised and this will keep growing. To give an example, the Chief Minister's Relief Fund in Maharashtra, and this probably is true across the country, that was also a 2-year battle to get the information. What that information shows is completely absurd. Money is given from the Chief Minister's Relief Fund meant for relief for mango festivals, ghazal programs, trips to a philately conference in New York, and so on and so on and so on. Crores of rupees have been spent so far like this. Now, we are exposing this, going to the Chief Minister's office, doing inspection, etc. The past we can't change, but I'm almost certain that now they are worried. They will not think of doing this because they know it's in open. So everywhere, the fact that this is liable to go before people is itself a very major thing. And the point is because the citizen has been fairly disempowered compared to, let's say, the better off countries who are economically better off. Or where I personally feel it's not an issue of better off economically, it's the fact that they have good democracies, they have robust democracies, which we lack. Here, the concept of the individual having a lot of rights is almost inbuilt. You don't have to question very much. There will be exceptions, but in India, the individual citizen having a right is not really thought of much.
So I want to put forth this scenario for you. So I live in this street, okay, and so in this street, the municipal law is that all the houses should not be more than 2 stories high. Okay. Now I see my neighbor; he's built 5 stories. He's made a flat. I mean, it's a flat. And I mean, I care about this because they are drawing a lot of the groundwater. Now, I mean, can I use RTI in this case because it's his private land? He's doing something. Obviously, there's corruption and bribery going on here. But how do I use RTI?
It is being done, in fact. See, what it means is what you are saying. I think this is what you are meaning. He's violated some laws. If he's not violated any laws, he hasn't. I mean, we've got to differentiate these two things.
But yeah, he's obviously bought somebody in the government.
So fine, no, that's okay. But the question is, has he violated laws or not? This is happening quite routinely. Citizens know that that man's violated a law. So he files an RTI application saying, I want to see the copy of this permission or a copy of his plan.
But I mean, isn't this privacy being impinged?
Not in plan. You see, the plan of your building is not what you would call an intrusion on your privacy. Privacy is defined by certain kinds of characteristics. Your bank account, your medical records, things that you consider as, purely private and personal to you. But even there, a larger public interest can override, but your building plan can never be a privacy issue.
So anything that requires government approval can be...
Most of them. Now, again, as I said, these are battles. Like Dow is setting up a facility in Pune. They've taken 100 acres of land, and we feel that they're going to do things which are not good for the environment and so on. So we've been asking data. Now, there is a memorandum of understanding which has been signed between the state of Maharashtra and Dow. And I had asked for a copy of the memorandum of understanding. And the reason for refusal was they said,
competitive.
No. They said it will affect the sovereign interests of India and economic relations and foreign relations with the foreign country. So I mean, we tried to pursue that. I said, I don't think US government would have said, if you give information on Dow, we will not talk to you. I mean, but I'm not saying everything will work in simple manners. So these things are thrown. Privacy is quite often invoked. It's routine. The moment you ask for something sensitive, the privacy clause will be invoked.
So I heard public servants' personal, wealth information